Hello everyone, it's a pleasure to meet you again. Last week was a pretty busy week for me, and it was also the first time I flew back after more than a year of almost not flying anywhere, even though it was just a short trip within Australia. Because the people I went with were very special people, plus the purpose of the trip was very good, so going on that trip left me with quite a few interesting experiences that I will tell you about when I have the chance. I'll let you guys listen to it again in another podcast. Since I started this podcast, I have a new joy. Every week I have the opportunity to sit down to share with you guys about the content of the podcast, but partly it also gives me the feeling that on the weekend I have the opportunity to sit down with friends from afar. Some of you have told me, why don't you do it more often? To be honest with you, currently, my time budget allows most of my time during the week to be spent on work. In addition to consulting work in the government, I also advise a number of people. Other company, in addition, I also write a book, so I spend a lot of time on this podcast activity. No matter how busy I am, I still arrange a certain amount of time for making this podcast, because since then doing the activities has brought me quite a lot of joy. Returning to our main topic today we will continue into part 2 of the series on financial freedom. First of all, I have to confess to you that the topic of personal finance is a topic that I think will be of interest to many people, but in reality it is the opposite, but I still decided to do it. Or maybe it's because my channel just started, so not many people are paying attention. Regardless of the reason, I hope that if you are following the podcast channel, you can share your experiences with me by commenting below. Each of your shares is also a great motivation for me. So my goal in making this podcast is not to get a lot of views, but actually I want to create value for you, especially the young people, as I said many times. If my sharing brings a positive effect to a few people, for me it is already worth the effort I put in. The second reason is that this is the first number that I invest deeply in what and why. The what and why, although important, is like learning the theory before moving on to the practice part. However, learning theory is always more boring than learning practice, but as I said in the previous issue, we need to understand it clearly before we plan to do it and the reason why we intend to do it. It's very important, so in the end I still decided to do that number first, and even if you haven't heard the first number today, I still advise you to listen to the first number first. I'll definitely come back to listen to this number again because it's all logical together, so you guys can understand better when you watch this number. There's really nothing more gratifying than when what you do brings value to someone a lot or something more or less to those around you, and it also gives me a lot of motivation that I continue to do. Show this podcast activity. As I said last time, in today's edition, along with the audio, I have prepared slides or images for this time so that your experience when watching on YouTube will be more complete. But as I said above, time does not allow me to do so. I hope you will sympathize. Now let me get to our main topic today. So today we will talk specifically about what steps the journey to financial freedom includes. Usually in my talks, I have the habit of going step by step and then getting to the summary, but in this article one will do it a little differently. I will show you the entire journey from the beginning, which is a journey we will have 12 steps. And divided into 4 stages, I will explain to you all the steps in this stage, and then in the following parts, we will go deeper through each stage. The first milestone when passing this journey is the debt stage. This can be called a negative milestone, and it is the starting point for most young people in our country. The reason is that usually when you step out, you will have quite a large amount of debt with the amount of money you have. You took out a government loan to go to college. Next is the second stage. I call it parasitic family, and this is your starting point in Vietnam. This is like the 0 mark, although it is not as negative as in our country. But I still have nothing in hand and still rely on my family. Then step number 3 is the step where we start working and can support ourselves. This is the step that I see the vast majority of young people are in at this stage and will have many problems. Many people will stop at this step and continue living their whole lives. However, when we stop at this step, this is the next step. We are still living in the style of spending what we can every month, and in the previous episode one said that living like that creates a lot of problems. Many financial risks. If we are unlucky and something unexpected happens to us, it will be very difficult for us to manage it. That's the reason why I put these 3 steps together in a phase that I call the phase of stress and insecurity. Next is the stage called enlightenment. However, calling it like that sounds like too much of a big deal, so I call it in a slightly more popular way, which is the monitoring and action phase. In this phase, there are 3 milestones. First is when we start to know how to plan to track and control our spending. This step is very important because it helps you calculate your basic financial milestones, especially those 2 numbers, minimum spending and standard spending. What's important is that they are the numbers used to calculate the next milestones. After we have established all tracking and spending activities, we enter the action phase. The first thing we need to do is eliminate all the bad debt we have. I call this milestone the debt forgiveness milestone. This is also a very important step, and in this step I will share with you how to analyze what is bad debt and what is good debt along with how to plan the steps. Prioritize each debt so that you can determine which debts should be handled first and which debts should be handled later. Then we will make a roadmap for how to handle each debt. If you can complete this step, it will be a huge success for you. It will help bring your life to a new stage that is much lighter and more comfortable, because from now on you do not have to live with the pressure of debt anymore. After completing the debt cancellation step, we come to step 6. This is when we set up our cash flow, for the reason that if we let all the money flow to one place, it will be very difficult to manage and it will lead to the risk that we will spend too much space. We should not spend the money that we have left, so I will show you how to divide the cash flow effectively. I will also introduce to you how to do it every day. What type of spending does the account it will use for, and what is the saving account, and what activities does the saving account use? In addition, I will also help you guys how to set up an emergency fund and another one, a sinking fund. First of all, what is a Ranage fund and an imposition fund? How are these two different, and why should you set up these two funds, as well as how to calculate the appropriate ratio for each type? After setting up these things, you will have the railways necessary for life, and specifically we will know how long our railway will last. In cases where there are unexpected events, the quality of our lives will not be affected. These activities, in addition to creating a financially secure corridor for us, also help us eliminate financial insecurity in life. Next we will add a new stage. This is the stage of building prosperity, also known as the accumulation and investment stage, which means that after you have completed step 6 in the previous stage, it is considered that we have succeeded. One solid rear. Now is the time for us to start recruiting soldiers to start going to war. The reason I call it going to war is that I learned from the interpretation of a man named Shark Kevin O'Leary. This man is the judge of Shark Tank and is a very famous investor of the program. He once said he treated his money like soldiers, and every day he would send those soldiers into battle. At the end of the day, he wants his money warriors to bring back more prisoners for him. This is a funny way of saying that we do things in such a way that money can make money for us. And this is also the main focus of this stage. That's when we start accumulating and investing. Before starting that battle, we will go through a step where we must recruit soldiers. Because obviously you have to have capital before you can consider investing. Then we will carry out these 2 stages with 2 activities. Start by building an investment directory, followed by guidelines for managing these directories, and next to that is the second activity. That is to continue to create more passive income. These 2 things must go hand in hand, because that is the very basic principle of wealth builders' activities. There is a very famous saying in this matter. Great wealth builders focus on both saving money and earning more. After a period of operation, we will have accumulated a certain amount of capital, and from there we will move on to the next stage, which is investment activities. In this step, I will share with you about ways to choose an effective investment model and how to divide the portfolio according to the ratio to make it safe according to personal experience by me. And the 3 steps in this stage are 3 steps where we can hunt each other. It is not necessary to sequentially complete this step and then the other step, and I also give you more clear instructions on this here. The next part. When should we do which step? And please note that this step will last quite a long time. If we keep accumulating and investing, at some point we will reach the 4th stage. This is the nirvana that we aim for. This is the step where we pass the so-called financial freedom. In this stage, it has 3 milestones. These 3 milestones are also concepts that many people get confused and sometimes misunderstand. The first milestone of this nirvana is called financial security. This is the milestone where we reach financial security. This is the time when we have enough money to ensure our basic standard of living. End of life means that in case of force majeure we cannot work anymore, we can still ensure the minimum standard of living. The second milestone is the stage we call financial independence. This stage leads us to the concept of FIRE, which stands for Financial Independence. Retire early. That is the hook where we have to stop working and meet our needs. Our money is still fully guaranteed to the level we desire. It means that from now on we will no longer have to exchange time for money, and that will help us open countless other doors and ultimately the highest level of this journey. That is the goal journey that anyone who can accomplish this financial freedom journey also wants to aim for. That is the financial freedom stage. This is the state in which we separate from the influence of money, at which point money becomes a tool to serve our other goals. In this section, I will help you figure out what is financial security, what is financial independence, and what is the milestone of financial freedom. In addition, I will help you distinguish between two concepts that are often misunderstood and often used interchangeably: financial independence and financial freedom. Through this you will understand why financial freedom usually comes after financial independence, but sometimes there are cases where it comes before financial independence, and through that we can understand why financial freedom is the next destination. Our end is when we can rest assured that from now on, money no longer affects the quality of our lives. That's when we say FCK money. That's our entire financial journey, and please note that this is my personal formula that I concluded for myself. It may not be the same as other people's recipes. However, based on my personal experiences, I believe this is a quite clear and effective formula. And as you can see, this is a very long journey to go from one step to the other. Sometimes it takes us many years, so it requires a lot of determination and perseverance. During this process, I myself have made many mistakes, from which I have drawn lessons for each step, and I look forward to your upcoming shares. I will help you avoid those mistakes. From there you can save time and effort to make this journey. Hopefully, through what I shared today, it has helped you and your friends have an overview of this entire financial freedom journey. I don't know about you guys, but for me, when I outlined this roadmap for myself and then had the opportunity to see the whole general picture like that, I was very excited. So therefore I hope you guys feel the same way. Hopefully, after what I shared today, I can give you a little more inspiration about this journey. Through each episode we get a little more inspiration so that at the end of this series we have enough motivation to embark on these journeys, which is great. In the next issue, I will start going through each stage, and in each step in each stage, what should we do? What goals should we set, and what experiences should we have? What should be avoided I will share with you all, thereby making your journey a little easier. As for this issue, I would like to end it right here. If you find the content I share here useful, please share it with your friends. Thank you for watching, and see you again in the next episode.